Hey, I'm Owen from Square Balloon. Today I'm going to talk you through how to use Joomla connected with convert forms, a form component, and then how to connect that via make.com to Pipedrive a CRM system. As well as that, I'm going to show you how to update a custom field, which was particularly difficult, so I'm glad I've worked it out and I'd love to share that with you. And it requires a bit of knowledge of APIs, but it's really quite simple. So hopefully when I show you this, it will open your eyes and help you to think, all right, that's not so hard, I can use that. So let's get started. So I'm going to show you Pipedrive CRM first. So this is basically what it looks like if I just say, I just fill in some of the information. This is what it looks like, right? Is that enough? Yeah, that's enough. Right. So now I'll go back to the deals. It says a qualified, there's contact made, demo schedule, so I can just move it along and move it along and move it along. And when I win it, I can mark it as won. I don't need to do that, so I will mark it as deleted. But you get the idea. It's a nice looking system. It works very well. You can add custom fields. You can customize this pipe that you see in front of you. You can customize just by clicking this and adding more sections. You can add custom fields. You can do lots of stuff, and it just works, right? So I really like it. I tried other systems that were cheaper, but quite frankly, this one works well. It's easy to use. It's very quick to use. So I see the value in that. So I stuck with it. However, other systems do exist. So you know, do as you wish. The form I'm going to use is Tassos Convert Forms. Again, other form builders do exist, and many of them can do this. So do not think this is the only thing. But here it is, convert forms. But here it is anyway. If you want to try it out, you can do. And I'm going to use makes.com. So it looks a bit like this. It's nice. It's sort of like a diagram based rather than anything else. So it feels easy and it looks nice. And there's a few complications to it, so I'll talk you through those. But first things first, let's go from the Joomla end, right? So I'm in my convert forms. Normally you see the fields. You need to go down here to the tasks on the left hand side. And when you create a new task, it'll ask you what to do. And what you need is a webhook. And so here's one I made earlier. So if I edit this one, this is what you'll see. You'll see to choose the app, so it will be webhook. And then you can choose this drop down, but we're only doing new submission at the moment. And on the new submission, send a webhook. All that means, if you don't know what webhook is, it's another system that is listening and waiting for that website to ping with the information. So what it means, as soon as the form is filled in, it's going to hit this address, which I got from make.com. I'll show you how to find that. And when I do that, it's going to post it, and it's going to add all of this information. It's going to unflatten it. It's going to do it as JSON, and then it's going to, and then I just save that. Right. So I just talk you through this quickly. So where did I get this make.com thing from? I got it from this webhook here, and you can see once I create the webhook, it offers me the chance. If I click this button here, it copies it, right? So that's my webhook. You might think I'm a bit outrageous for giving away my webhook because people could ping it, but I have limited it by IP address. So unless you have my IP address, you ain't going to get through. So I'm not really so fussed about that. But if it does ever happen, I'll just change the webhook to a new one, and it'll have a different address, and that'll be into that. So that's what I put in here. Now I know I want to post. I can do all of these other options, but I know I want to post in this particular case. I'm not worried about headers. I don't need them. It does the headers for me, and I don't need any additional ones. Now here I've just typed in first -9, and then here I've chosen the fields from the form. So all it's doing is giving it a name and then a value, right? Name, value, and the values are all coming from the form. I could also just type them in, but I don't need to do that. So, but if you had, say, for example, you might want to include a hidden field with a value in it, or you might want to have a field that does something slightly different. So, for example, I could have a field saying, how did you find out about us? And then in Pipedrive, I might update where the referral came from. At the moment, I'm just saying this lead came from the website. That may not be the case. They may say, oh, actually, I saw you on social media. So that might be something I do in the future, but I won't for this particular tutorial. Anyway, so now I've matched all of these up, and I make sure it's JSON, and I'm unflattening it, and then I'm pressing save. And I make sure I save up here as well. That's done. Now, let's talk you through the make part. So, first things first, you create your webhook. It's not that difficult. You just press this plus button and it gives you all these options. You type in webhook and then it will create you one. I don't need one at the moment. The next thing is you click on the plus again and you add the next node. And so what I've added is a zoom in. So this is webhook. This is create a person in Pipedrive. So if we have a look at it, what we'll do is we'll grab the data. So first thing I do is I set up this connection here. So when I press add, I set up connection. My advice to you is to give it the name of your company, or maybe Pipedrive and the name of your company, because you may wish to do this for someone else, for a client, in which case you would have a second connection and you'd want to easily be able to adjust which one you're using. And so if they're called like connection 1, connection 2, connection 3, you don't have a clue. So my suggestion is to call it the name of your company and maybe Pipedrive or whatever the connection is, but it has the icon, so you don't need to really put Pipedrive. And what I'm doing in here is I'm seeing this data's come from my webhook. Now the way that I do that is when my webhook is set up, I can redetermine data structure, right? And when I do that, if I click on this, it listens, right? So now if I go and fill in a form, here's a form, I'll click this, and then I've got this horrible thing. I might change this because I find it frustratingly difficult, even though it's quite easy, it just takes too long for me, which is probably the idea. Anyway, as you're doing that, this has now been listening and it says successfully determined. So it now has understood your data structure. So now when I come into this one, because it understands my data structure, come on, because it understands my data structure, right, so now it says last name is there, not surname, so that's obviously wrong. And instead of first name, I'll just make sure that's right, and I'll put a space in between, very important. And this one is email, so why don't I get rid of that and just put in email again to make sure that is from, because I've copied this scenario, it's called a scenario, copied it, so I just want to make sure it's correct. So if you ever see, I noticed that it was not pink, it was a white with a pink border. That's how I knew that that one was wrong. So it's probably from the scenario I copied it and it has a different name. So anyway, as you see, you get the idea. I come and I put things in here. This one has a label, so I filled it in, but the value comes from the form that's filled in. There's loads of other things. I don't need any of them, so I click OK. Now I add a plus, and I can, if I look at this, I can actually add a router. So I can say if this happens to do this, or if this happens to do that. I don't need it, so I'm not going to. So create a person. That person must be part of an organization, so I'll create an organization. Again, I'm making sure my connector is on square balloon, and I'm using my webhooks again. So the organization is going to be called whatever the company name was. I'm fine with that, and actually I'm going to add their website as well in this case. I may know some of this other stuff, address or whatever, fine, if I do I can add it. Now I've got text parse. Why have I got text parse, you might ask? Well, let me talk you through it. This is a pattern, which is a RegEx. If you don't know what RegEx is, go to RegEx 101 and have a play and learn. So if I chuck my it's not my real domain name. I'm not that bad, guys. If I check this regular expression in here, though, at the top, you'll see what it does. And all it's saying is everything before the at, we're ignoring, and then we're capturing the bit after the at, so the domain name. So what this is actually doing is it's taking this text, the email address, and it's getting everything after the at sign. So it's basically getting the domain name. Smart, huh? Now, in this case, I actually capture the email address, the website, sorry, in my form. But that might not be something that everyone does. Like, some of my clients really don't need to know what the website name is. They really need an email address and a phone number so they can get in touch, and we don't want to have a long form, so we ask for as least information as possible. However, from the domain, I can add in the email, the website address, and I can update that field for them so that they don't have to go and add it themselves manually. Right, so now I'm going to create a deal. I've got a person. Person's part of an organization, and those two things can be part of a deal. So again, I'll make sure I've got the right connector. And this time I'm using company name space deal. So when it arrives, it's going to say square balloon space deal. You can make it whatever you want, but I'm making it dynamic. I'm getting, now here's kind of a clever bit, the person, it wants to know what is the person's ID. So I go back to where I created a person here, and I use the person ID from that module that's over here, right? And I've got the organization ID as well, so I put that one in here. So this isn't looking for a name, it says it right here, must be an ID. So it's asking me for an organization, I can't type in the name there, I have to give it an ID from Pipedrive. So because we created an organization in this field here, it created an ID. Because it knew it did that, I could add this ID in here. Right, so the person ID, organization ID, so I'm sorted there. I can then choose which stage I want. I can choose if it's open or closed or lost or whatever else. I'm sure most people just choose open. I can update all the other stuff. Like I said, I've got the website captured, so I stick that in there. And the email domain, I get from my text parser, and I just stick that in there. Right, so save. Now, what I wanted to do was I wanted to update the deal source. If I create a deal, in fact, maybe might need to make this visible somehow. So if I go to deal data fields and then a source channel, so that should be okay. It looks like it should be in there. So I create a deal. Right, that'll be enough data. Yes, it will. And now I should find the source channel. Now this tells me where did I come from? Social media, word of mouth, email, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is, or the website, right? So I can save that. Great. Now what happens is when I go to my insights down here, I can run reports, and I can run a report which says like, where did all my deals come from this month? Where did they come from in the last year? And it's really helpful because it knows, okay, I'm spending a lot of money on Facebook, but all my leads are coming from Instagram or whatever, you know. It's really useful to have that information. But going back to make.com, when we go to create a deal, this field is just not there. And I really, really think it should be, but it isn't. So be it. How do we get around that? Right, what we have to do is we have to use the make an API call. So there's a lot of these Pipedrive things. If I click on them, there's a lot here that are already made. Make.com has done a brilliant job of going through everything and showing you the things that were easy to pre-build. And they've just basically gone on this, on the developer's Pipedrive, just looked at things. So for example, deals. Now it shows you the endpoints, get all deals, blah, blah, blah. So they've just looked at this and they've just gone through and made them all, right? Super useful. Great job by make.com. Love it. However, in those examples, not one of them adds this this field that I want to add, which has got the source channel. So luckily, make.com, in their infinite wisdom, has allowed me to make an API call. So that's an API call that I designed from scratch, right? So let me talk you through that. So if I'm on here, I know it's deals. I know I need to add it there, right? So the first thing I can do is click on this, run in Postman, right? Let's do it from scratch so you guys can see it. So if I click run in Postman, it's going to fork the collection. Yes, I'm happy to do that. It opens a new tab. It opens Postman in the web now. You don't need to download it anymore. Excellent job. I'll call it anything I want. It doesn't matter. It's just a demo. And I am going to tell you a very good tip. On this first part here, you can look at these are all the endpoints. Endpoints are just, like for example, a deal endpoint means I update deals. A person endpoint means I update persons. So you're going to click on this top folder or whatever you'd like to call it, and on the three dots, maybe just the folder, is it? Yes, it's just the folder. and only click on the variables over here. Right, now in this bit I'm going to type API lowercase KEY with a capital K, right, and I'm going to put in my API key here. Now what we're going to do about this, because I don't want to do, I'll drag it onto the other screen because you guys don't need to see my API key, and I don't need to stop recording and carry on because that would be annoying. Right, get me API key, copy that, let's back over here, put this in here. Right, and then most importantly is that you click the save button. 1 second, I'll just show you. Once you've done it, you have to click this save button. Very, very important you do that. I'll just quickly redo that and then save it. KEY. Make sure the K is a capital, and the reason that we're doing lowercase API and a capital K, I know a few of you are probably thinking, well, that's just because everyone does camel case or whatever it's called. The reason we're doing that is because in this API it's got the API key in there already, it's just not filled in. So first thing I need to do, if I want to, let me drag it back up here. If I want to update this deal, I need to know how to access this source channel field, and if we look, it's got lots of options. I need to know the ID for each of these options, and it's not really obvious if you inspect it. Okay, that didn't work. But if you inspect it, it's just not obvious what the ID is. So the only way to really find it out is to use Postman. So if I do get all deal fields, and it's going to have base URL here, which is great. That's from this part, the overall folder, and the API key is in here somewhere. Look, if you can see, it's already there. API key. Whoops, I have to make a new one. Anyway, one thing you need to know is it's looking for an integer here, and that is the limit. So how many should we have? So I'll just put something higher, like 60, and I'll hit send. Great. Now my JSON comes back, nicely formatted. What I like to do at this point is I like to Control A, select all, Control C, copy, come in here, and Control A, I don't need that, Control V, and I just find it a lot easier to look at in here, full screen. Now, first thing I'm going to do is look for my source channel, because that's what I'm looking for. And what I need is not this ID, weirdly, because everything else asks for an ID, but I need the key, which is channel. Right, so get the key channel, and I can stick that in my link. And so I'm using the body here, and I'm putting channel in quotes, colon, and then I need to do 37. 37 is the ID of the option that I wanted to choose. So let's go back into our thing here. Right, so channel is the one I'm doing. It's the field I'm filling in. And now here's the options, right? So if I look at 37 is here, and it's website. So what I'm saying is populate it with website. So I hope that makes sense. Channel is the key, and 37 is now we need an ID. So the key, and then we need the ID of the option. The next thing I wanted to do was I wanted to do the email domain. So, and this one has got this crazy key, which I assume is for security reasons. So I put that one in there, and in this case I put quotes around it, and then a colon, and then quotes. And in this case I used the one that I got from my text parser. So there is a chance sometimes that people will fill in the website that they are they're writing about, and they'll also have a different domain for a different for their email. So it might be that they have multiple companies and they're using one email address for all of them, or it might be in lots of cases that they're a spammer and they made a fake email address and trying to sound like they're from a company. But either way, it can be useful to have it. So this is why I've done it. So now all I've done is opening bracket, quotes with channel inside, colon, quotes with my ID inside, a comma, so I can do the next one. And if I need another one, I would just do a comma after that and carry on. Right, now we've done all of that. When we created a person, there was an option to fill in the person's organization, but we couldn't because it required an organization ID and we hadn't created it yet. So we're doing an update person, and now we've got the organization ID because we created the organization a few steps back, and I can update this person ID, which I'm getting from a few steps back, with the organization ID. So all of the other data will stay the same. I don't need to update that and save. And then I'll make sure I save down here. Hurrah! And we're done. So a bit long-winded, but let's just have a look. So I'll delete this. Oops, delete. All right, now let's fill in the form. And what I'll do here, drag. Shape that is most similar. Okay, probably more annoying for me because I have to do this 100 times to make this video. Right, so let's go back to Pipedrive. Did a deal arrive? Oh God, don't tell me I broke it. It did not arrive. Okay, let's go back. What's happening? Oh, it's not turned on. Right, so now it's turned on. It's asked me, do I want to process whole data, which I've just in the submission I just did, and we get to watch it. We get to watch it go all the way through. Green, 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 green. Perfecto, it's worked. Check Pipedrive. Don't even need to refresh. It's already there. Let's have a check. So it's got a company link to it. If I click on this now, it goes to the company. Great. Click on the person, it goes to the person. Great. So that's created both of them. Has it created the source channel? Yes, it has. Brilliant. It's got my phone number. It's got my email address. It's populated all its data from the form. Has it got the website? Oh, it hasn't got the website. Oh, maybe that's a custom field that I made. Well, in that case, if it hasn't got the website, what I would want to do is check here if there's one called website. Yes, there is. Okay, so I'll add this key in. Here we go, we can see it working in live time, which definitely make things go wrong. So I'm putting a comma, I'm doing my quotes, put my key inside, I'm going to put colon, I'm going to do quotes again, and in this case, I have the website from there. Press that, press save, and then go back, and then let's just submit it again and see if it works. Okay, that's cool. Let's see if there's anything else in here now. There is, so we don't know which one's which now. I think the top one will be most likely. Ooh, still no website. Is it a different field somehow? I think there's two fields for a website, maybe. So there's not. Why is that not working then? So what we can do, we can test it. This again, it's kind of useful to see this. So I click on details, and if I click on the API call, I will see what the body says, and then the data. Is that what I want? I think that is what I want. You can see all of the data that's in there. Oh, here's the data. Sorry, inputs. So channel 37, this. There. There's not a gap in between it, right? Oh, sorry, click on diagram. Trying to make sure there's no space or anything. As I said, this would cause a problem because I'm doing it live. Okay, it all seems okay, so I don't know. I'll troubleshoot it later. Don't need to troubleshoot it online. But hopefully it's given you enough that you can work with it and work things out for yourself. Even if things get a little more complicated, you know how to find your field ID by using Postman. And don't forget, you can use this for other things too. So if you wanted to say, oh, I need some information from a deal and I don't know how to find it or whatever, I can get all deals here, right? I can first of all, there's loads of stuff here. I need an integer, I need this. If I just tick these boxes, now they're all gone. And now if I just run this, it will show you all the deals. I'm not going to do it because it'll show you all the deals in my Pipedrive, and I don't need you to see all that because of GDPR and whatever. But it can be useful to see the JSON that comes out, because you might be saying, I want to populate this field and I don't know what it's called. Seeing the JSON output help you to understand the name of it, which would then help you if you was trying to update the API. I've been Owen. Thanks for watching. If you like my stuff, please comment, please like. Please ask me what you'd like to see next. And let me know what you end up creating with this and how much it helps your business. Thanks. Bye.